Shazi. Look at there. What's Jake do? There we go. Who's that? That's Shazi. Your wolf dog. It's your wolf dog. Your Melly Mutant Timber Wolf. He's been here a long time. You know, he's been here 8 years. Yeah, since 2014. She's about 10 now. She came from the pound to rescue. What are you going to her paw for?
I don't know.
The claw or something? Okay. So, the first part of this was we were up at the main house, and Shazi, the big wolf doggy, came out to greet you all. So, that's Shazi, the wolf dog, the Malamute Timber Wolf mix. And she's been here 8 years now, I think I said. Yeah, 2014. And she's about 10 now. And she came from the pound. All of my have come from the pound. We have 2 more younger ones. But they're very smart. They're very easygoing and polite and well behaved. You wouldn't think so, but they are. They actually can stay in the house by themselves and don't screw nothing up, usually. Occasionally, it happens anyway. But we started working with them 23, 24 years ago. The county rescues, and a lot of people have them that shouldn't have them. In our county, they'll let you have them, but if they're more than half, then they're not too keen on that. But if you keep them contained, they be all fixed, have all their shots, and they're contained, then they'll pretty much just let it be, because it's expensive to have to deal with them, and the testing and everything, and the fighting in court and all this and that. And there's a lot of them all over the country now. What we do is we encourage people not to breed them. It is a felony to breed them. We do not breed them. We will take them from people who do, and they get sent to sanctuary. And I've had to do that a few times. They'll call me for that. Now, Shazi belonged to a recently retired animal control officer here in our county here. And when he retired and had to move to the city, he and his wife wanted me to keep her. They didn't want her to go to sanctuary. They wanted me to keep her. She's already fixed, chipped, and house trained and all that. And she may not have got along at the sanctuary with the other ones that were more wild. So I agreed to keep her. I've had others here come and go. We just go to sanctuary. There's one up in Sacramento County, another one down in Tuolumne, where they have wildlife biologists and veterinarians on staff and everything to look out for them. You can volunteer there to help out at the sanctuaries. You can donate money to them and so forth. And anyway, I just got interested in this by chance. It was just a fluke. I ended up with 3. I didn't even know what they were. Those 3 were half German Shepherd and half Gray Wolf. And they were here for quite a while, mom and 2 pups. She actually had 9 pups and just couldn't take care of them, wouldn't. They don't do it that way. They share in the motherhood with other females in the pack. And it just weren't able to. So we had to send the other 7 pups to sanctuary to be brought up by other surrogate mothers and part of the pack there. So, but the 2 stayed with the mom here, and we're here for a long time. They did quite well. And they too came from the pound. And then I had a couple others in between there, then and now. We have two others here that are younger, that are Malamute wolf mixes like Shazi. They're younger. She's kind of like the alpha female, and wolves do that. They can be male or female, will be the alpha, and they will go out and lead the pack in the hunting and all that out in the wild. We got the idea, the law of the claw actually comes from Jack London's Call of the Wild, and a chapter in that story is called the Law of Club and Fang, and we just changed it to the Law of the Claw because we thought it sounded more poetic, but it's the same thing. It's the goodness and the brutality of Mother Nature. Nature can be cruel. It can be kind and it can be cruel. There has to be a balance, and that's why, Jack London was very much into the stories about the wild, but he was a socialist, and he understood the native peoples and culture and stuff, where he went up in Alaska and wrote his stories and stuff, and he was very concerned about working people and the hardships that poor people have, and he came from a poor background himself. As he got more famous in his writings and stuff, he gave away a lot of money and a lot of his time and effort and stuff doing all kinds of things, although some people held his fame against him. He died from lupus. He had systemic lupus. People said he was a drunk. He was drinking laudanum-laced liquor to kill the pain of real bad jaw and dental problems from the systemic lupus, the SLE that he had. That is what killed him. So we set the story straight on that. This is more recent research that's been discovered after his family had his grave exhumed a few years ago, recently. We share a lot of his socialist ideas and concepts, and also his respect for nature. We do not believe that the earth is just for people. A lot of people think it's just for people and everything has to be subjected to them. We don't buy that. We want a balance, like the Native Americans or the ancient Celts and Vikings and other ancient tribal peoples taught. Interesting more modern writer, fiction writer, science fiction actually, Ursula Le Guin, and she was an anarchist, communist philosopher and science fiction writer, and she recently died, and she did a book called The Word for World is Forest. The Word for World is Forest, I believe is the name of the book. I have it here, and I think I remembered the title of it correctly. That's one of her more well-known books having to do with this concept, that we have to accept that life is how it is, and we don't have a right to wipe out 1 million species of other animals on this planet in the past 20 years just for us. Mr. Musk does not get to tear up the forests of Indonesia just because he needs some element for his electric cars, which he knows damn well ain't the whole solution. We don't tear up the ocean and the forest to get lithium or cobalt or whatever, destroy the earth in order to make clean energy. That's typical greedy capitalist barbaric mentality, which is totally out of balance with nature and is unacceptable. He can go to Mars and wreck Mars, unfortunately, is what he'll probably do after he gets done wrecking things here. And by the way, he's got the Native American tribes on the Texas coast pissed off at him right now. They're suing him because of his rocket center there is screwing up the coastal environment there. And 50 different big environmental groups are now suing him because of what he's going to do in Indonesia. Now, all these big mining companies, they use child slave labor to get cobalt in the mines in Africa, Angola, Congo, and places there. And also they're tearing up the forest here in Idaho to get the stuff. And that's critical habitat for the lynx cat, the Canadian lynx cat, and as well as the gray wolf and the grizzly bear and other animals. So we believe that man has caused plenty of his own suffering because of the lack of family planning, birth control, sex education, which is critical to the future of this planet. If we don't want it to have to be mandatory, then people better wake up about that and just get doing it. And these crackpot Christians that want otherwise should just pack their bags and get off the planet. Hurry up and float away in their rapture when their pedo Jesus cult leader Jesus comes back to get them all. We'll be happy to see him go, because they're making things worse for the rest of us. They want to overpopulate everything so they have more cannon fodder to go fight their wars. That's why they don't believe in abortion. Because if you read Dr. Paul Ehrlich's famous book, The Population Bomb, that is all now happening. That book all came true. Now read Dr. Lester Brown's book, Full Planet Empty Plates. There ain't enough to go around, folks. Quit having more kids. You have one child in America, and it makes 10 times the carbon footprint as 3 kids in a third world country. We're making all the pollution, not them, but they're suffering because of it. So, look at yourselves, folks. Look in the mirror. You are who you fear. We need to get over this where we got, the right to do this and the right to do that. We live largely in excess. It doesn't need to be. There's enough for man's need and not enough for his greed. And this has got to stop. And Dr. Paul Ehrlich, and you can see an interview with him done 30 years ago, it looks like it was done this morning on YouTube, where he talks about the big corporate capitalist plutocrats running the earth into the ground, ruining the planet, and doing it with the backup of the evangelical Christians. He mentions this. It's surprising. And it just sounds like right now, these evangelicals, trying to claim that America is Christian and based on the Bible. No, it is not. Anybody that does their homework knows the founding fathers, for the most part, 9 out of 10 of them were not Christian. They were either agnostic or they were Masons, and the Masons don't believe in the deification of Christ anyway. And a couple of them, of course, kept having slaves and were hypocrites about it, Washington and Jefferson. But Franklin and Paine did not. Franklin let his go, and Paine never had slaves. And you want to talk about the rights of man, and it's for all rights of man. And you look at who we had the Boston Tea Party against. Who was that? The biggest corporation in the world, the Dutch East India Company, backed up by British military force and that crazy tyrant King George. Well, it kind of looks like things now, don't it? So truly what we're doing here is we are just continuing the revolution, because to us it never stopped. And we're just continuing it and spreading it and extending it to all, and not just other humans, but to animals and trees and the environment, the rivers, the oceans, the lakes, everything. And these clowns that are running our country, as well as these clowns running our county, who we call the Gang of 5 Monkeys, being that they're like trained organ grinder monkeys who just take orders from whoever has the big money. No slight against the monkey as an animal, but we're just trying to give you an idea how things are run here, and it's not fair to the little people in this county. It's not fair to the animals. It's not fair to the forest. We've suffered a lot of drought and fire here, and capitalism doesn't help any. It's run its time for the trash heap of history. It's garbage. It's barbaric. It has to go. We need to go back to the law of the claw. Fair is fair. And whether that is going to be to too many people, and you can either deal with that the bad way, war, genocide, mass murder, or whatever, or we can start being responsible and practicing birth control and abortion when needed, and safe sex, sex education, family planning. Okay? Otherwise, we don't have a future. And like Nietzsche said, all religion is spider poison. And those who spew it, the preachers and priests, are all poison spiders. Yeah, I agree. So there you go. That'll give you a kind of explanation of the theme of this place. what the law of the claw is about, and kind of some political philosophy background to that. And it's evening now. It's the end of summer. It's starting to cool down. Hopefully, we're not going to see any more big fires, but we got a couple going just north of us right now that are pretty big. And this drought could go on for 30 years. Every 1,000 years or so, we have 30-year droughts, and it looks like this is one of them. So we don't want big corporate pot farms. We prefer that it be the local family farm thing, and which is people like us. And we don't want big cattle farms here. We don't want mining operations here. We don't want gas fracking and oil fracking in the national forest right next to us here. So we've got our plate full of things to fight for here. And we're here, and that's what we're doing. Anyway, that gives you kind of explanation of what the theme of here is all about. And we'll get into lots of other things in the next videos to come, and more history and various subjects and whatever to discuss our perspective out here. And then if we are going to do a show this winter, it'll be in December. If we get enough rain beforehand, we will proceed with that. And you can see my shirt there. That's my shirt from prior shows, and there's our logo that you would see on our YouTube channel as well. Okay, that's it from the Pirate Republic and the Law of the Claw. This is it for tonight. Have a good night or day wherever you may be, and we'll see you again soon.